Bitcoin is attempting here once again to move back to the upside and potentially putting here a bounce into key resistance. I will show you today why this might be a massive bull trap and the levels that we need to watch right now and to potentially take advantage of that bounce to the upside. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome back. Whoa, now I'm not really in the camera. Let me move this here a little bit to the side. That I'm now way better. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in here. So now I'm definitely good in the camera. We jump directly into the charts here. Not gonna waste a lot of time. On the weekly chart, we see here right now, after we moved all the way down to $80,000, a slight bounce here back to the upside. But nothing substantial just yet. But at the same time, the reason why we are going here slightly now to the upside is that we hit a major confluence level here, this upward sloping trend line. And it was not obvious, but expected that at least from there we're gonna see a small reaction, back into the mid $80,000 level. So here on stochastic RSI, we get here now a slightly better picture of what's going to happen here by tomorrow. This looks now or starts to look like that we are gonna get here our buy signal that we were looking for, with the trend line slightly turning here already around. In the worst case, we see the uptick in the next weekly candle when we are closing here tomorrow, the current weekly candle, and then the following week we'll put in that buy signal. But regardless, we are that close. We are that close to see here a bounce, and I'm gonna show you now why this is potentially not a good thing that we're getting the bounce, because it's gonna trap a lot of people that believe that we are potentially going straight back into a new all-time high, which potentially is just not happening. There is a probability, a pretty high probability right now that we are not seeing this, because Bitcoin moved here 36% down in a really fast fashion over the last couple of weeks from $125,000, and we are nowhere near to go back here to this downward sloping trend line right now, which is sitting at, if we are coming back now in the next coming days, between $94,000 and $96,000. When we are looking then, not on this chart, but this one here, this daily chart, also here, you can clearly see we have tapped into buy-side liquidity that was below the current price, coming in from $81,500 to $77,000 approximately. Here I see already that price is still weak because the daily candle for today did not push back above this upward sloping trend line. So yesterday, yes, we got a kinda an okay bounce, but also failed yesterday to close above this upward sloping trend line. Got today a rejection and continued to come further down. So we could see here on the daily time frame and the macro time frames one more run into this, creating a higher low, and then starting to come back here and start pushing back into this falling wedge pattern, and still putting in here then a massive deviation before we get continuation into higher levels. The problem that I see here, and I think I was here on this chart, yeah, so here we can clearly see this, is first of all that we put in the death cross, and every single time when we put in the death cross we see a massive correction to the downside. And in a bull market, a death cross on the daily chart has historically marked the end of the bull run. So I don't want to ignore that fact. Hence why we need to be here really careful with the bounce going back to the upside, because for this bounce to signal a reversal and continuation back to the upside and continuation of this bull run, we have to take out here this high, this lower high at $104,000, $103,000. This is what we need to take out. So, and only then we could speak about that we are now going into a reversal, because if we do that, taking out that lower high and creating a new swing high, that will open up the possibility to move here back into higher levels. Unless that is not happening, be prepared that price at any given moment, even with a bounce, will just create and continue to put in lower highs. So we need to break this lower high structure to get a proper reversal back to the upside. Hence why I'm saying any kind of bounce right now, even if the bounce goes back to like $92,000, $94,000, take it with a grain of salt. Be really, really careful when you are getting the bounce. And especially when price is approaching around the $100,000 level. I'm not saying we cannot trade this. We can make money in this. But these are short-term trades, guys. These are highly short-term trades. And this is what you should focus on right now. So if you want to trade anything, just focus on short-term trades for the time being until we are back above the $103,000, $104,000 level. Because also there on the way up, we have golden ratios that got broken on the way down that will act as resistance. As you can see here, $103,100, $1,900 approximately. Key support levels that were broken around the $100,000 level. Another key support level at $94,000 that got broken. So these are now all resistance levels on the way up that we need here in the staircase manner break when we are coming back up, and of course have the momentum to do so. And when we're looking, for example, on the MDX Algo scalp gradients here, I'm pretty convinced also here that we are seeing first another leg to the downside before we potentially complete here a W pattern. So the problem is you don't know, and also here based on the indicators I cannot tell you exactly if we will come all the way down here back to the extended retracement level of the golden ratio to $80,600 and even Weex slightly below that into this buy cluster here, or if it will put in a lower high, a higher low, and start running from here. So right now, this is something that nobody can really tell you, and we need to go by the technical levels that we are seeing. And from a technical perspective, I would say we could touch here again $80,000, scare people one more time, and shake out the basically the last hands in the market that are still there and holding, and then reverse this back to the upside. A break below $80,000 will definitely scare a lot of people. If we break here into that cluster and go slightly below $80,000 and start reversing from there back to the upside. So if you want to trade any short-term trades, guys, you know the drill. Go to Weex. You get $30,000 in sign-up bonuses plus $400 immediately, absolutely for free, for binding your phone and your email address and downloading the app. And additional $400 if you deposit $500. And if you do that, follow all these steps and deposit $500, you get access here to my free Telegram group where we send signals more or less every day, and they are highly profitable even in the current market conditions. We are able to pull money out. So if you want access to that, there is everything in the description below. How you do that. And if you cannot reach me on Telegram, guys, send an email info@amcrypto.us or write me on Twitter amcryptoalex. If you cannot use Weex, guys, use Tapit. Same thing, also link in the description below. Now, what did I want to mention here? Not liquidity. We're gonna talk about liquidity here. I wanted to mention something else. Slipped my mind. So we're gonna move on and talk about liquidation levels. So here you see the potential, one of the potential areas that we could bounce and put in the higher low would be here the over leveraged long positions that came in here when we hit $80,000. So they are currently sitting at $82,600 to $83,000. And after that, again, we have no over leveraged liquidity on the long side, and all the over leveraged liquidity is to the upside. I want to mention this again, guys. This here, everything up here will eventually get taken out. There's no discussion about this. It's gonna happen. The question is, when is that bounce finally happening and pushing us into these levels? And from there onwards, regardless of how high we go, so even if we would go all the way up here to $115,000, can we manage to hold on to these levels and push one more time higher to put in the cycle top? So that is the big question here when we are going to see all these liquidations happening on the way up. But now the imminent short-term target here on a bounce, and I will be completely honest with you, the first target is the 50 moving average here. The 50 moving average on the 4-hourly chart that is currently sitting at $91,000. And if we can manage to break above that, then the 200 moving average, which is in alignment with the confluence level that I mentioned earlier with the lower high at $103,000. When we're looking at the liquidation heat map, then here you see on the way up, we would get a short squeeze from around $90,000 all the way up to $94,000. There definitely I expect some reaction in terms of resistance, where we potentially come a little bit lower again. But once that level is taken over, then the next area is $98,000, and then we go here into the higher clusters, 108, 104, 108, $112,000. Here, $112,000, also something that I want to mention here, because I just saw this today. $112,000 could be the level where we are in the short term going to stop from going higher. So imagine Bitcoin goes and we get a violent move here. Now I remember what I wanted to say earlier. So imagine we are getting here a bounce and Bitcoin manages to take all this liquidity and goes here over the next 2-3 weeks back into these levels here. Because this was now also a pretty fast recovery, Bitcoin runs then out of steam to push into higher levels. So it opens up the possibility and the probability that we are coming back down here again into the $102,000, $108,000 range, first to consolidate, to gain momentum, to push higher, or even to go back slightly below $100,000 one more time, and then continue here to the upside. So what I wanted to mention here, now that I remember, from a weekly perspective, I want to emphasize this one more time, which I did over the last couple of days. The next weekly candle that we are opening by tomorrow has to be the bounce candle, guys. If that's not the bounce candle, I will disregard any other weekly bounce that will happen afterwards, because next week is the week where we need to see this. This bounce has to happen now quick, because the longer this drags on, the less likely it is that we are getting a substantial bounce. So this is just normal market dynamics, that when you have so much sell pressure on one side and only so much buy pressure on one side, the longer it takes for the buy side to push out the sell side again, the less likely it actually becomes, you know. So and then the sellers are just staying in control and keep pushing suppressed and keep pushing it into lower levels. So hence why this has to happen here really quickly. I can tell you from experience from last cycles, and when I have seen situations like that in past cycles, and it even happened in bear markets that I have seen something like this, when you have an extensive period of downwards movement, you're gonna get at some point a really violent bounce to the upside. So and this violent bounce happens usually when one weekly candle closes and the next one opens. So that means I determine that we should get the bounce that we are looking for between tomorrow night, the new weekly candle open, and Monday, latest Tuesday, where this should be happening. If it's not happening in this time frame, we are in really big trouble to see here any reclaim of the $100,000 level over the next 2 months, in my opinion. So be on the outlook for that. So would I short now? Because I know also some of you guys are wondering if they should short now the market. I would also stay away from shorts, because like I said, we had here now a 36% move to the downside, to the low point here, and a bounce is definitely imminent. The only problem is you don't know where the bounce is coming and how high the bounce will go. So right now, trying to short the market is way riskier than trying to actually try and to time the potential bounce to the upside and take well calculated risks to try to time the bounce, then now getting in a short when you know a bounce is here definitely coming in the near in the near future. Let's have a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance, because the Bitcoin dominance overall is not doing that bad, to be fair. I mentioned yesterday that we need to break here below 59% to get continuation. This still looks here like massive continuation. The only problem is that because Bitcoin is still going here down, that it doesn't really matter if we're getting here a massive move now to the downside, because at the same time, if Bitcoin goes also to the downside, that keeps altcoins at current levels just afloat and will still drag them down slightly. So what you want to see is a consolidation in the Bitcoin price, where Bitcoin just goes here sideways in a range, while the dominance is going down, and that will lead to altcoins popping then to the upside. Or the other scenario is people that are still in Bitcoin, when they're getting a bounce, they're selling when Bitcoin goes up. So this is BTC. Yeah, my drawing skills are impeccable, as you can see. So yeah, BTC goes up, dominance goes down. So what happens with altcoins? Let me see if I can draw this nicely. No, I'm not doing such a bad job actually. So altcoins lift off. So that is the best case scenario, because what's happening is then people that hold Bitcoin, they sell now on the way up their Bitcoin into profit and rolling it over into altcoins, and that's why the dominance would go down, and then you get somewhat of an altcoin season. So, but like I said, that is one of the scenarios that I see when Bitcoin is getting the bounce, that you're definitely gonna see a rotation. But what I really want to see is that Bitcoin can reclaim that lower high and break above that to get proper continuation to the upside. Because we should not kid ourselves, we did not need that crazy of a cool-off phase right now. You know, we did not really need that, especially with the USDT dominance. He's still rampaging around that big resistance area here that we don't want to see to be broken, because then again, Bitcoin will fall below $80,000 here in the short term. So what we want to see here is a rejection with continuation to the downside below 6% and even below 5%. Because only when we move here below 5%, that will put Bitcoin around the $100,000 level, only there. Total free market cap could not hold $835 billion as support. We're currently below that. Let's see if we can close today still above that level, because we have still here 11.5 hours to do so. And if you can manage to do that, then potentially we're coming back here to the downward sloping trend line to test this as resistance in the next coming days at $881,000, which will coincide with a bounce in the overall market, not only in Bitcoin. So if that's not happening, then also here, continuation to the macro support level of $780 billion. And definitely from there, altcoin's gonna see a bounce back to the upside. But I want to mention here that that bounce will most likely bring us back to current price levels. So you're gonna see that altcoin's gonna break down further when we go now to the downside. And when we get this bounce here from that level, it will get us back to prices that we see today in altcoins. So can you trade this bounce? Yes, of course. But if you're holding on spot coins already that are going down, it doesn't really affect you that much, you know, because you're like in 3 days, let's say that this is going down now over the next 3 days to this level. What you lose over these 3 days is what you regain then on that bounce, which is basically nothing. You basically wasted 3 days, so to speak, you know, and that makes only sense if you enter a position on leverage in that scenario here. Now with Ethereum got yesterday close to our stop loss. We are still in that trade position here overall, and for now, if you're in this trade, just keep holding it, because also here the scenario that we are putting in a W formation is quite probable and high. So, and that W here, if we are completing this W formation, because we have now like 40% of it, a little bit more than 50% of it, I would say. But what you want to see here is this leg, this leg, and then a break of $2,780 for the confirmation and the break of the neckline that we are moving here now to the upside. So I want to mention here $2,780 is historically a really strong resistance level for Ethereum. There was so much trading volume in the last cycle around this. Let me see if I can show it to you. So here, look, if I would extend this line here now, or let me just put in a new line. There. Look here. There. Support. Here it was resistance. Here support, resistance. Then we broke this after an extensive bear market into support, 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 broken. Here again, turned into support, support broken. Here, so this is a major key area for Ethereum, not only to break to the downside, but also regain it and reclimb above it as a support level. So this neckline it's not a coincidence that there is right now the neckline of that W pattern. On the here with Solana, we see some sideways consolidation. That also here I have to be bearish right now on Solana, based on the 1 hourly chart, short-term outlook. Even though I think that this might go in the other direction. So, but if this breaks to the downside, we are looking at here $109. If here this bear flag, this bear pennant breaks here into lower levels. So let me see a 4 hourly chart. Yeah, not looking great here, not looking great. Oh yeah, and it goes here into yeah, a massive buy cluster. So yeah, this is here right now definitely a target, this area down here from $108 to $112. If we are breaking this to the downside, so this is actually a short that you can take on Solana. If we are breaking this to the downside and the next 1 hourly kind of comes up to retest this here and pulls back from this back to the downside, then here $123 approximately would be my entry level for a short to $112. I would not go deeper than that, because we're gonna definitely get a wick from that area. So, and I don't want to risk that this might be that final push that we are looking for before we are getting a bounce across the market when we come down here, and that push can be really violent and fast, and can cause that you with a blink of an eye see here something like this. Doesn't mean that the candle stays like this, but a wick, you know, and you get liquidated faster than you can look. So that's why target $112 if you want to take that short here with a stop loss. Let's see here with the risk to reward tool. Yeah, $130 would be most like, no, tighter. It will be tighter than this. Just above here. So there. $127 is the stop loss in that case. So and you're looking here at roughly 9% profit on that trade. So plus the leverage that you're using, which is not a bad trade overall. So let me see. Thank you, Adam. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trading right now, guys. You know, so I'm trading, but small positions and trying to build new positions for that bounce, you know. So I'm trading every single day, guys. You know, don't think just because I'm not showing positions, I'm trading. You know, so because I can show you that I'm actually right now in a Bitcoin trade here, but the trade is underwater. So just that you see. So here, let me switch. Whoa, I lost here. There, see. Currently underwater, 6% on that Bitcoin trade. So, but I'm trading, guys. I'm trading. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled that that when I'm saying that I'm trading, that I'm not trading. I'm trading what I'm preaching, guys, every single time. So AVAX also, I think AVAX is a high probability play for a bounce here, really soon. Because look at this. Look at this. How long and intensive we went here to the downside. And today we're actually good in time, guys. Good in time for talking about altcoins. Here, RSI massively oversold, stochastic about to print a buy signal. MACD not insanely sell pressure coming here, which again is telling me that sellers getting exhausted and that here a bounce is imminent. So, and here I'm gonna enter this. I will not wait for $14. Let's see here. Need to see past levels. A reclaim of $13.37 is where I'm gonna enter this for a move to $17 approximately. Yeah, $16.90. So that is almost a 30% move, guys. So you don't even need leverage for that. You can just trade this on spot if you want. And then here another one, Doge, also currently holding on to that more or less support level here, holding on of 13 cents and 7. But also here, same with Solana, this is currently a bear pennant. So only if we are seeing here a break to the upside, I would enter this. Otherwise, potentially you can short this to the downside to like $12.05. So that is not a huge move, I think, from current levels. Yeah, you would make here like 6% roughly, because you need to wait for the break and the retest. Yeah, you would make like 6-7% on that trade. That's everything for today's today's content here again, guys. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in on a Saturday. Gonna see you again tomorrow. Don't forget, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you tomorrow.